A very good morning to you. Welcome to the Afarmers Breakfast Show. We are live from Kitengela, County 034 in Kajiado. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining us again today. I am your host, Lilian Thomas, and today we'll be having a very interesting topic. We'll be talking about agriculture financing. We'll look at a little bit about financial records, and we'll also be talking about value addition of the agricultural products. So join me for the discussion. You can give us your feedback on our social media handles. On Facebook, we are at Afarmers Media. On YouTube, at Afarmers Media. On Instagram, at Afarmers Media. So currently, we have a conversation going on the Africa Farmers Club page. And I had asked a question about agriculture finance. And my question was, why do farmers actually opt to find other sources of getting finances other than asking for loans from financial institutions? And I can see people giving feedback. So if you're listening to us, you can as well give us your feedback, and we'll be sampling that once we delve into the topic. So you can tell us what you think about agricultural financing, where people can get the finances from, what are the most viable options, and why do you think people prefer some options compared to the others? As well, if you'd like us to have you on call, make sure you hit us on our inbox at Afarmers Media on Facebook, and I'll be calling you as the show progresses. So it's a beautiful morning, and as we are starting the day, so I always use Mombasa Road coming to work, and it has been hectic. So let me give you the traffic updates and tell you what you expect on the roads if you are on your way to work, or what you expect on the road. So Mombasa Road is bumper to bumper. Mombasa Road is bumper to bumper. It cannot be passed. I don't know what's happening on Mombasa Road. Someone says he's been at Museum Hill and University Way for almost an hour, so the road is also not passable. Ngong Road is moving. We have traffic at Maimayu escarpment, so people don't know what's happening. I hope that will be sorted out. Around Outer Ring Road towards airport, around Pipeline, the traffic is really bad. Pipeline on your way to Taj Mahal, the traffic is really bad. You can tell me what road you are on and how the traffic looks, and I'll be updating people on that so that people don't get stuck on the way to work. If you have another option that people can use, you can also let us know. Yes, I can see Langata Road is also very hectic, very hectic. If you can use another route, please do that. So on the weather updates today, just want to look at the weather updates. Nairobi will be sunny, a maximum temperature of 25 and a minimum temperature of 15 degrees. Mombasa will be sunny, also a maximum temperature of 32, a minimum of 25 degrees. Eldoret will be sunny as well, a maximum temperature of 24, a minimum of 12. Nakuru will be sunny as well, a maximum temperatures of 26 and a minimum of 13. Nyeri will be rainy and sunny, a maximum temperatures of 24, a minimum of 14. Marsabit will be sunny, a maximum temperature of 26 and a minimum temperature of 17. Kakamega will be having rainy and sunny intervals, a maximum temperature of 28 and a minimum of 15 degrees. Don't forget, actually the Kenya Meteorological Department and the Kenya Red Cross Society still warns us about the rains that we are expecting in the country. So we have the short rains going on, and it is expected to last till the 3rd week of December. So make sure as you go your way, the floods we have abrupt floods happening everywhere. So make sure you are aware of that. And before we get into the topic, a reminder, we still have COVID around us. So precautionary measures are a must. Put on your mask, sanitize your hands, wash your hands, and put on your mask, sanitize your hands, and keep social distance if you can. So today we are talking about agricultural finance, and as well I just want to give a few news on agricultural financing, things happening in Kenya and things happening around Africa. So earlier this week, the IKEA Foundation and the European Union are partnering with the Egerton University, World Food Programme, Collateral, UNHCR, and Insta Products. So they are partnering with the county government of Turkana and FAO to establish agronaut production initiative in Turkana County. So this is aimed at trying to gain food security in Turkana. As we know, Turkana is quite known for having drought, and people are always claimed to be starving, but they want to start something, an initiative, a groundnut production initiative, and they are putting over 18,000 acres of land under production. So this project is supposed to last from 2022 to 2027. So that is a 4 years program, and it will be funded by the IKEA Foundation and the European Union. It's a public-private partnership program. I hope it goes really well, and it is expected to start earning the county 2.3 billion shillings annually. So that is the first thing that has happened this week. And talking about loans and finances and everything happening. So farmers have been complaining about the high interest percentages on the loans that we have. And the Kenya Tea Development Authority Holdings has decided to do something which is exclusive, I think. So the Greenland Feather Limited, which is a microfinance under KTDA, has reduced its interest rate loans from 21% to 8%. That is like a big decrease, 21% to 8%, and it has been effective from 1st December 2021. And the good thing is it is applicable to all members, whether the new members or the already existing members, and it is aimed at trying to help smallholder farmers access credit, affordable credit, so that the tea reforms can actually get to passing. And also, a thing that I like about the program is that they are actually offering financial literacy program to the farmers. So as they are giving you credit, they are as well educating you about the finances, how you're supposed to use them, how to invest and stuff. So that is it about KTDA. And then there's something about the East African Federation and IFAD. IFAD is the International Fund for Agriculture Development. So IFAD and East African Federation have been training more than 10,000 youths from Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. So it's a program that started in 2017 and it has run to 2021, and it was aimed at actually helping the youth access financial services for entrepreneurship and employment. So they have trained over 10,000 youths, and last week they were actually crowning it, and as they were crowning it, more than $1.7 million, which is equivalent to 191.3 million, was advanced as loans to the youths who were trained. So more than around 10,000 youths are benefiting from this program. So we have more youths getting access to finances to get into agriculture. And good thing is they have been trained as well. So they're not just using the finances as they see how, but they have been trained on what to do with the finances. Last but not least, so from 2020, we've been having a lot of locust invasion, especially around East Africa, especially in Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, and it has been ongoing, even recently. Actually, I saw yesterday, it was in the news that actually we're again having another locust invasion in Kenya. And earlier, in around August 2021, IGAD signed a 3-year, 326.4 million shillings grant with the World Bank to set up a center that can actually help to deal with the locust invasions. And Kenya is actually a beneficiary of this. So the setup is supposed to work for East African countries. Kenya is a beneficiary. And you see things with grants are not repayable. So it's something that has been funded into the East African community to help them with whatever they need to do. Our topic today is on agriculture finance. We will be talking about financial records that farmers need to be keeping, why they need to be keeping the financial records, and we'll also be looking at the value addition of agricultural products in the country. So I want you to do a very quick thing. If you have feedback concerning agriculture finance, if you know somewhere where actually people can get finances at lower interest rates and viable options which people can use to get agriculture finance, let us know. If you know something related to financial records, why is it important to keep financial records? What kind of financial records are farmers supposed to be keeping? As a farmer yourself, what financial records are you keeping? So good so far. What has been the change when you're keeping financial records and when you're not keeping financial records? And also, if you are doing value addition to your agricultural produce, kindly let us know. Let us know. It will be very helpful. If you are doing value addition, let us know. If you can as well hit us on our inbox, we can call you and then you can share your experience with us, your story with us. And we really want people we can talk to about the agricultural financing. We really need your feedback on that. So you can send us your feedback. On Facebook, we are at Afarmers Media. On YouTube, we are at Afarmers Media. On Instagram, we are at Afarmers Media. So maybe you'd ask yourself, why the topic agricultural finance? Why the topic agricultural finance? So agriculture is like the backbone of the country. It's actually the backbone of most countries in Africa. So when we come to Kenya, 25% of the country's GDP is from the agriculture sector, right? So 25%, that is like a quarter. That is like one industry supporting a quarter% of the GDP. So all the other industries are going with the 3/4. So 25 is a great deal, meaning agriculture is very important in Kenya. When you look at the previous records we have, horticulture and tea have been our major foreign exchange earners. So horticulture in terms of fruits, flowers, and then the tea industry. We export tea at a very good rate, and they are among our most top earners. So agriculture like forms a basis of the Kenyan nation. And for agriculture to happen, we need finances. For any farmer to do anything in the farm, they need the finances that they will use from production even up to marketing. Like the whole stage of agriculture requires finances. And it is a whole lot process. But these finances, how accessible are they? How can a youth at the age of 18, maybe who has just cleared high school, get into agriculture if, let's say, they don't have land and they'd like to access land and they'd like, or maybe they have land, but they need inputs and they don't have the finances. How can they access the finances to get into agriculture? And then looking at it, when you come to talk about agriculture and why we have less youths in agriculture and less women in agriculture, the discussion always comes back to, oh, we don't have enough capital to get into agriculture. We don't have people supporting us to get into agriculture. It is a whole thing that people are really discussing about. But in Kenya, initially around in the 80s, 90s, a certain corporation was started. So the Agriculture Finance Corporation was started. The Agriculture Finance Corporation was started to help farmers access markets and to get inputs and equipment. So good so far. It is on a bridge to be established as a bank. So the AFC is actually something meant for the farmers. It works for the farmers, and it is by the government of Kenya. It is supposed to provide finances to the farmers, loans at cheaper rates. But how effective is it? How effective is it? Are you a beneficiary of the AFC? Can you tell us how it works, what it goes by, what are the interest rates? How viable is it to use the AFC as a project that has been claimed by the government, to be able to obtain finances? So there's some interesting study that I saw that I think I should let you know. So the farming actually accounts for over 50% of export earnings and approximately 25 to 30% of the GDP. The industry employs more than 40% of the population. And then it has been realized that only 4.8% of commercial financing in Africa goes to agriculture. So you see the way we are complaining about we have very little financing going to agriculture. only 4.8% of commercial financing in Africa goes to agriculture. And this is according to the 2016 Africa Agriculture Status Report. One thing that we have to note is that about 70% of most crop and livestock production is done by the small scale farmers, so smallholder farmers. And the problem that smallholder farmers are having, they have less capital, they are having challenges in being able to access finances to actually do whatever they are supposed to be doing in the industry today. So that's the topic we'll be talking about. So as we are going to take a break and then we come back and now start talking about agricultural financing, and then I'll be having people on call. I'm trying to get some people on call to tell us a little bit of ways we can actually use to source for finances in agriculture. Now let me know, which is the most viable way do you think that people can actually access agricultural finances? Which is the most appropriate one? Because we have from my financial institutions, we have grants, we have personal savings, we have loans, we have a lot of things that we can. Which one do you think is the most viable one? Send us your feedback. On Facebook, we are at Afarmers Media. On YouTube, we are at Afarmers Media. On Instagram, at Afarmers Media. We'll be taking a break shortly. We'll be back in a few.
Cauliflower is a cruciferous vegetable that is naturally high in fiber and B vitamins. Cauliflowers are annual plants that reach about 0.5 meters and bear large rounded leaves. As desired for food, the terminal cluster forms a firm succulent cud or head that is in form of a cluster of flowers. Cauliflowers do well in fertile well-drained soils that are rich in organic matter. Just like other plants, cauliflowers are also affected by different kinds of pests and diseases which can hinder its growth, including unfavorable climate and growing conditions.
The many problems you will see in cauliflowers, and this one is just one of them. You can see how the problem is. It's called riciness. You can see it's living in a chana, that is, living each other, as you always say. But this one is usually caused by low temperatures. Yes, low temperatures. Low temperatures during planting leads to this problem. So you have to make sure during planting you have favorable temperatures for your crops. Always talk to your agronomist when you plant, so you can know when to plant what and what works when. Temperature will depend on your area, the area you are in. Because I can't tell you we are in Nyandarua, I want to grow this, and you are in somewhere in in coast, it's too hot. Yes, so that will depend also in your locality. Yes, and also if you are in those climates where it always changes, so you have to know when is the cold season. In cold season you can't do this because of A, B and C. And if it's too hot, you can't do A, B and C. So always, that's why I'll just have an agronomist. We'll guide you through it. Yes. And also do your market research and know what works where before you grow something as a farmer. Don't just do guesswork. There's a lot of pests that attack cauliflower. One, the most notorious one is aphids. Aphids will circle your leaves, and one thing you will know, there's aphids on your leaves. They're always curling. Yes, they will eat, or they will suck the sap out of the leaf, and now when they are too weak, they start curling. They curl inwards. That's how you'll know you have aphid attack on your farm. Yes. And now what you can do to control aphids on your farm is always keep them in check by spraying. There's always a chemical solutions to it. There's a biological, and then there's IPM. Yes. The perfect head, I'll say, looks like this one. Look at this. It's perfectly round, and it doesn't have any spots on it, and it's intact. That's what makes a perfect head, and is a good size, good market size. Not too small, not too big, not overgrown, just perfect. Yes.
Beetroot is a highly nutritious root vegetable. The beetroot is the top proportion of a beet plant. It is one of the many varieties of the genus Beta vulgaris, all of which are mostly grown for their edible taproots and leaves. Beetroot is a root crop that takes approximately 3 to 4 months to mature. Beetroot is a fairly easy crop to grow as long as the soil is well cultivated prior to planting. Beetroots do not enjoy wet, boggy or shady soils. Beetroot can be sown in trays and transplanted when the seedlings have 2 true leaves. Plant in full sun, space seedlings 10 to 15 centimeters apart, and rows 20 centimeters to 30 centimeters apart so they have room to grow. Beetroots are also ideal for containers or raised beds. Beetroots will happily thrive in small areas as long as there is at least 20 centimeters depth of soil. Beetroot has been used not only for food but also for treatment for numerous conditions. Drip irrigation is a type of micro-irrigation system, or sometimes called trickle irrigation, that has potential to save water and nutrients by allowing water to drip slowly to the roots of plants, either from above the soil surface or buried below the surface from a system of small diameter plastic pipes fitted with outlets called emitters or drippers. The emitters slowly drip water into the soil at the root zone, therefore moisture levels are kept at optimum range, thus improving plant productivity. You can grow different crops using drip irrigation, be it tomatoes, spinach, skuma wiki, beetroots, celery, and many more crops will thrive using drip irrigation method. Drip irrigation is especially beneficial as it provides better plant health, less waste, reduce the risk of diseases, money saving, weed control, and saves time. Drip irrigation is the most efficient water and nutrient delivery system for growing crops. Cauliflower is a cruciferous vegetable that is naturally high in fiber and B vitamins. Cauliflowers are annual plants that reach about 0.5 meters and bear large rounded leaves. As desired for food, the terminal cluster forms a firm succulent cud or head that is in form of a cluster of flowers. Cauliflowers do well in fertile well-drained soils that are rich in organic matter. Just like other plants, cauliflowers are also affected by different kinds of pests and diseases which can hinder its growth, including unfavorable climate and growing conditions.
The many problems you will see in cauliflowers, and this one is just one of them. You can see how the problem is. It's called riciness. You can see it's living nachana, that is, yeah? Living each other. As you always say. But this one is usually caused by low temperatures. Yes. Low temperatures. Low temperatures during planting leads to this problem. So you have to make sure during planting you have favorable temperatures for your crops. Always talk to your agronomist when you plant, so you can know when to plant what and what works when. Temperature will depend on your area, the area you are in. Because I can't tell you we are in Nyandarua, I want to grow this, and you are in somewhere in in coast, it's too hot. Yes, so that will depend also in your locality. Yes, and also if you are in those climates where it always changes. So you have to know when is the cold season. In cold season you can't do this because of A, B and C. And if it's too hot you can't do A, B and C. So always, that's why I'll just have an agronomist. We'll guide you through it. Yes. And also do your market research and know what works where before you grow something as a farmer. Don't just do guesswork. There's a lot of pests that attack cauliflower. The most notorious one is aphids. Aphids will suckle your leaves, and one thing you'll know, there's aphids on your leaves. They're always curling. Yes, they will eat, or they will suck the sap out of the leaf, and now when they are too weak, they start curling. They curl inwards. So that's how you'll know you have aphid attack on your farm. Yes, and now what you can do to control aphids on your farm is always keep them in check by spraying. There's always a chemical solutions to it. There's a biological, and then there's IPM. Yes. The perfect head, I'll say, looks like this one. Look at this. It's perfectly round, and it doesn't have any spots on it, and it's intact. That's what makes a perfect head, and is a good size, good market size. Not too small, not too big, not overgrown, just perfect. Yes.
Welcome back to the Afarmers Breakfast Show. I am your host, Lillian Thomas. Today we are talking about agriculture financing, financial records, and value addition in agricultural produce. We are live on Facebook at Afarmers Media, on YouTube at Afarmers Media, and you can as well follow us on Instagram at Afarmers Media. So I want to read some feedback that I have here concerning agriculture financing. So a day ago, we had posted something and we had created a poll and we were asking, what is the best place to source money for farming, since we are talking about agriculture financing? And savings, so 59 people said savings. We had 31 people saying SACCO. We had 8 people saying a bank. We had 5 people saying salary. We had 3 people saying family. We had 2 people saying friends. So people believe that actually savings are way better in obtaining agriculture financing as compared to financial institutions. So savings is leading, followed by SACCOs, followed by banks, followed by salary, followed by family, and followed by friends. And early today, this morning, so I posted something. I want to get some feedback here. I asked a question, which was because from the poll that we had, so I asked, why do farmers prefer getting capital from their savings instead of obtaining loans or credit from financial institutions? And I have a few comments here. So someone by the name GMKE, I think it's GM Kenya, I think, says, is it that they prefer or that they have no choice? With the exception of Equity Bank, though very limited offers, I would be interested to know of any institutions that loan farmers. We'll be looking at that. So Timothy Wanjohi, thank you so much for giving us your feedback. He says, the interest rates of some of these banks is equally the same with normal loans, which it's supposed to be less for agriculture farmers. With that, most of the people can be able to shift to agribusiness, and especially those in rural areas. So this one claims the loans are quite high. It's like a normal standard. The interest loans are standard even for the normal loans, which is actually high. So this one feels like agricultural loans interest should be cheaper. Robert Mwakio, we'll be having Robert Mwakio on call in a few, and he'll be shedding a little bit of light into this. Robert Mwakio says, first, most financial institutions consider agricultural financing as a very volatile, risky venture. That is why there are few banks willing to finance agricultural activities unless very certain of high returns. Secondly, with the collapse of several agricultural SACCOs due to poor management, poor agricultural output due to high cost of production creates an unfair atmosphere for investment in agriculture. Thank you so much, Robert, for your feedback. I think I'll call you and then you'll elaborate that more into details, because I know you are one of the few good people we have on the agriculture industry. So Sharif M. Peter says, Agricultural Finance Corporation offers loans at a reasonable 10% interest. I think this is what I was looking for, 10% interest. Rain-fed farmers fear taking loans than the irrigation one. We use those loans in livestock fattening business. So that is the feedback we have concerning agricultural financing, and why people are actually preferring to even use savings instead of actually trying to source for credit from the financial institutions that we have. But now let's think about this. What is agricultural financing? We said for you to be able to do, if you are doing agriculture as a business, which is what we advocate for, it is agribusiness, right? You're doing it as a business, you need finances, you need capital. You need capital. So agricultural financing, actually, we would say it refers to financial services that could be either short-term, medium, or long-term loans that you offer to people in the agriculture sector to be able to support their activities. So their activities include everything in the agricultural value chain. It could be from production, acquiring inputs, getting equipment, sometimes even sourcing for land, up to marketing. It is a whole chain. Anything that you are offered in terms of a loan, to be able to actually do every other activities you needed to do up to you get to the final stage of production. So that could be marketing in your market. And then we come here and we are like, what are the types of agricultural financing that we can get? So when we look around, you can either decide to obtain loans or credit, and this is mostly offered by financial institutions. So it could be banks, it could be SACCOs. And then we have grants. We'll be talking about grants in a few. And also we have a new system that is being established in Kenya. It started rolling out earlier this year, and it is the inventory finance. It's about the warehouse receipt. So I'll tell you about the warehouse receipt. The warehouse receipt is a system whereby you get farmers, or a group of farmers, or a single farmer. Once you harvest your produce, there is a warehouse. You take your produce and store it in the warehouse. Once you store it in the warehouse, they are able to calculate the value of your produce. And once they calculate the value of your produce, they write you a receipt. The receipt that is written is for the amount of the value of your produce. So if you have produce that can amount up to 100,000, they write you a receipt of 100,000. So this receipt, if you go to it to a financial institution, it can be used as collateral to be able to obtain your loan if you need a loan, or credit if you need one from either a SACCO or a bank. So it is a system whereby you can go as a group, you can go as an individual, but it is better if you go as a group, so you can still produce as a group. If one of you needs to find a loan, so we can take our produce as a group, our value is calculated, and then we can use that as collateral for one of us to find a loan. For the banks and most financial institutions, they actually offer products that are linked to the value chain. So when we are talking about the value chain, is whereby a farmer already has a willing buyer whom they have an agreement on what they will sell and at what cost. So when you're signing a product for a credit or a loan, this is what we will be agreeing on. So sometimes you can fail to have that, and a financial institution can provide that for you. That now acts as your collateral, and it is to actually counter the issues of risks that we have in agriculture, which are a lot. So in some of our financial institutions that I looked around, some of our banks and some of our SACCOs, they actually offer loans that are more specific to a certain activity. So we have farm input loans, whereby you are given a loan to be able to buy specific inputs to aid in your work. So you can be given a loan to get seeds, you can be given a loan to get fertilizers, you can be given a loan to just outsource some of the inputs you need for your functions. And then we have the equipment and machinery loans. These loans are given for you to be able, if you need to, you're doing mechanized agriculture and you need to outsource some of the equipment that you need, they give you loans to do that. And then we are given, there's a capital development loan. So to say, let's say a farmer is in a place where they don't have water and they need to establish a borehole. When you need to establish a borehole, they can give you the capital development loan, which you can be able to do that. So some of the places that people do get loans from or credit from include the financial institutions. So those are the more like the formal places. We have financial institutions, we have banks, we have cooperative societies, we have farmers organizations, we have SACCOs, we have donors. So about donors, it's more about grants. And then we have some farms that are more agricultural specific. They support actually agriculture. So these are NGOs that actually support agriculture, and they can give you loans and finances. We have corporates that are actually also supporting agriculture. And we also sometimes, actually the government budgets for agriculture. sometimes some farmers are able to acquire loans and credits from budgetary resources from the government. And also sometimes the government actually works in a way that it can give you subsidies in obtaining things, either in obtaining fertilizers or the equipment. It comes at a cheaper rate, so it kind of reduces the amount you're supposed to use. Some people opt for informal sources. So as we've seen from our feedback, some people opt for their savings. Others opt to get money from friends, family, relatives, money lenders and stuff. But why is this so? Why is this so? Why are we having more people complaining about getting finances from financial institutions as compared to other places? It's one thing that we really want to look at. And what actually, when you're going to look for loan or a credit from a financial institution, what do they need from you? When you go to a financial institution or a bank, one of the things they always ask for is collateral. And what is collateral? Collateral is property that you are actually signing to be used as security. Just in case you are unable to repay the loan, they can always acquire the property and use it to repay the loan. So collateral is one thing. And most youths, most women, let's even think about this. Most women in Kenya, from the society and the kind of culture we've had, most women in Kenya don't own land. They don't own land. So if a woman is going to look for a loan or they need credit from a financial institution, it might be a little bit difficult because they don't have a land title deed, which they can use actually as maybe collateral. And if we are talking about the youths, most of the youths, say a youth has come from high school, I'm just fresh from campus, kama sisi, and you're just getting into the agriculture industry and you want something to use for collateral. You haven't worked anywhere previously, you don't have any property to your name. So when you go to a financial institution and they need collateral to be able to secure you a loan, you find that you are hindered from getting a loan, which is a little bit hectic for most of these people. Sometimes in other institutions, they require financial records or financial documents. Like, what have you been able to, what are your transactions like? Can you be able to prove to us that you can be able to repay this loan within this time as from your transactions? And then you find, you see, well, I'm bringing in the issue of financial records. You find some farmers don't really keep financial records. So they don't have documents to show of the transactions they are able to take from production to marketing, what they are able to achieve, what profits they are able to make. They have no records of that, and which is actually required by some institutions. And then you find for some in financial institutions, they actually want to see what is your experience in the agricultural activities and the use of funds. So this is more inconveniencing in a way that it is a little bit like more targeted to people who already have been in the industry for long. So for a newbie, someone who wants to get to the industry, it becomes a little bit hectic. But then again, I ask another question. Why do we have less financial institutions actually giving agricultural loans? Why do we have less financial institutions giving agricultural loans? We have a lot of risks in agriculture. There's a need for collateral. Agriculture is a very risky business because we rely on the weather and the climate. We never know what's supposed to happen next. And that can always cause a problem. Like, someone is so unsure. I'm not sure if I give you money, you'll be able to give me back returns, right? Yeah, that's what I think about it. So as I was talking about, there's an instance whereby you can decide to get a loan or you can decide to get a grant. So loans are, it's credit you get from financial institutions and then you pay it back with interest. But with the grants are gotten from donors. You get grants from donors. And for the grants, you don't have to repay it back. So you find for most people, especially people getting involved in large-scale agriculture, they will sit down, write a proposal, and then they look for a donor to try and fund whatever they are doing so that they can be able to finance their activities. So I think one thing, most Kenyans are more aware about loans and credits, but I don't think most donors know a lot about grants and donors and stuff. So I want to try and find Robert Mwakio on call and see if he can shed us a little bit light. He can shed a little bit light from his perspective concerning obtaining agricultural finance. So let us try and find Robert Mwakio on call. But the discussion is still about agricultural financing, financial records, and value addition. So you can tell us, if you are a farmer from your side, if you do agriculture, where were you able to get your finances from, and at what instance were you able to get your finances? What was required of you to get the finances? And after getting your finances, as you do your farming activities, do you actually keep financial records? And you can let us know what kind of financial records you keep. So I'll try and call Robert Mwakio and see if I can find him on call. So a little bit, we try to find Robert Mwakio as we look at the feedback he gave us concerning
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am fine. Where are you at?
I'm actually in Kitengela, believe me you.
If I knew, you should have come to the studio actually.
Yeah, sure. Next time I'm one phone call away.
Yes, thank you so much, Robert. So today we have been talking about agricultural financing.
Yes.
And we had posted a poll on Facebook on the Africa Farmers Club page.
Okay.
And we were asking where people get their finances from. And a majority of the people, they said for agricultural financing, like we had like 3/4 of the people saying they get it from their savings. Savings were leading. And then they came in with the SACCOs was second.
Yes.
And then banks were third. And then now people went to things like salary, how you again obtain from friends and other things, you know.
Yes.
And it gave me, and we were asking ourselves today early in the morning, why is it that actually people prefer outsourcing funds from other sources other than financial institutions? What do you think is the issue here?
Thank you so much, Lillian, again for having me in the show. I think next time I'll be there with you personally so we can highlight some of these issues. Now, you just said a couple of minutes before you called me that, and actually even wrote it there, that finance in Kenya, or agriculture in Kenya is a very, very risky business. And that is why financial institutions have taken a lean back when it comes to financing agriculture in Kenya. And there are several reasons as to why so many of these banking institutions don't actually shy away from giving loans, especially large-scale loans to farmers.
Okay.
And there are so many reasons as to some of these issues, and I'll just highlight a few. Like of late, we are having very, very poor and predictable climatic patterns in Kenya and actually in the whole world.
Okay.
Like we normally talk about the long-term, the long rainy season, the short rainy season, planting time, whatnot. Now, there's very little emphasis on climate smart agriculture. So somebody who goes actually to seek a loan have to have a lot of information on these climatic patterns. Yeah, let's say like I'll be planting in January, knowing that
Right. We're trying to get Robert back. The connection is failing us a little bit. But one thing that Robert... Okay, yes, Robert? Robert?
Yes.
Uh-huh. I can now hear you.
Okay, I told you I'm inside Kitengela, so the network is not very, very good.
I understand clearly.
Yeah, so I was talking about climatic conditions being one of the factors that hinder the financial institution giving out funds. Mm-hmm. We're also looking at the farmer himself. Most of these farmers are people who don't have sufficient knowledge in farming.
Okay.
Like proper sufficient knowledge, knowing, like you talk about things like having records, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing vegetation, knowing the output, knowing the market, knowing a lot of intricate details about the farming. Most people do farming in Kenya as a secondary activity.
Yeah, most people actually do it as a subsistence thing.
Yes, subsistent and as a secondary thing,
Mm-hmm.
You do it when you feel like this, and that's what the problem we have in Kenya, because we believe that farming is left for that kind, the old people, maybe people in the village out there. So we don't have so many professionals in farming. That is why even the banks themselves realize that that people get into farming as a secondary. So this is a risky venture. Is going there as looking at kama pata potes, like batisha,
So Robert,
yes,
let me ask you, who is supposed to be providing the knowledge to these farmers? Whose responsibility is it?
No, we have so many institutions that give out information, and in fact the county governments are even tasked with giving knowledge or impacting knowledge to farmers. But I also blame the farmers in their own, because if you really want to get into farming as a venture, you need to have knowledge on the same, because there's no point of me waiting to lose my job for me to start getting into agriculture, which is not really right, because you're taking it as a secondary thing. Now, there's so many institutions that are tasked in getting knowledge or impacting knowledge to farmers, mm-hmm. and I wouldn't blame the agricultural financing institutions to give out training to farmers,
okay.
because they're also out there to make money, because them giving you loans for farming, they also want to make money out of it.
Yeah, it's a business.
And then, okay, we have agricultural circles. Long time, Kitambo, the circles used to do quite well, especially in the tea, coffee, and right now dairy is doing well in Kenya, but not as well as it used to. Mm-hmm. But circles were really interested in giving a lot of information, not only finance to farmers, but also knowledge to farmers. But like I've talked about that in one of my comments there, most of these circles are actually going down due to a lot of malpractices. Mm-hmm. We don't have professionalism. We see that circles are going down every day because of embezzlement, money here. People have become so greedy that they don't see the need. And then also the government has also brought out very harsh conditions for agriculture to flourish in Kenya. We have too much tax on the agricultural inputs like fertilizers, machinery. It's high taxation. So at the end of the day, these circles are also going down because of the harsh investment opportunities in agriculture. You see, like there's some circles like the flower circles, the ones that are in Naivasha, which work hand in hand with government to ensure that they are cushioned and actually get market outside the country. Okay. Yeah. So circles. If I could advise any farmer to get finance, and if you're really serious in agriculture, circles are actually the best in your agricultural activities.
So you prefer circles to banks?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, even in your list, I'd put bank at the very least, because banks are there to make money. And then sometimes a bank will give you money on a collateral, and if you're a farmer, the only collateral you have is what is your title deed.
Actually, so that's the issue that most people are complaining about, the issue of collateral, especially for women and youth getting into agriculture. You see, most women don't even have land title deeds, youths don't have any property, and you need to get into agriculture, and they're asking for collateral.
Yeah, because that's the risk I was talking about. They're also taking a risk. That money is to be used for an investment. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So compare somebody who's actually doing a very marketable business, maybe even a dealer or somebody that has a constant income, yeah.
Okay.
Compare it to a farmer who gets harvest maybe once or twice a season, or twice a year. Mm-hmm. So who banking? If you're interested with money, who do you go to? You'll definitely go to somebody who the money circulates very fast. So that is where also banks have the problem. What collateral do you have? No, okay, there are some banks, I wouldn't say all the banks, but there are some banks which are very, very good when it comes to financing agriculture. And there are banks that are ready even to support farmers. Okay. Deep down, talk about banks such as Equity. Equity has tailored programs for agriculture. They have loan facilities for agriculture. Even some of them have grants. They have grants which they give farmers so that they can be able to get secure fundings. Some of them train farmers. Yeah, I'll just name a few of these institutions, if you don't mind. Yeah, a few of these institutions where farmers can be able to get proper funding. Yeah.
Okay.
Funds, loans, or grants. Yeah. I will start with another agri-lending. Mm-hmm. Agri-lending is one that will be able to give you loans. We have CFD, Stanbic Bank. KCB definitely will give you very good financing for agriculture, as so long as you see that it comes with that. It comes with a catch. You need to have proper research. You need to have your proper records. You need also to have your market research. Mm-hmm. All in very good proposal. You just don't go and tell them, I have a piece of land and I want to do cotton farming. Okay. So if you do cotton farming, let's say you're a cotton farmer in Nyanza, and you really know that the government needs to. In Rift Valley, we have that Rivertex that is almost being launched or was launched. Yeah. So you go to a bank, I have this land and I want to secure funds. I know if I plant corn or cotton, maybe after this period I'll be able to sell directly to Rivertex and they'll pay me. A bank will guarantee you a loan because they know the market research, you've done all that. Yeah. Okay. But you cannot go to an institution and start saying, I want to start doing fish farming. Yeah. You don't even know where you sell your fish,
True.
Yeah, so there are several. We have Vision Fund Kenya. I think that's sponsored by the government of Kenya. Vision Fund.
That's by the government of Kenya?
Yeah, and then we also have Kenya Women Finance Trust.
Okay.
That one always helps.
Yes, I'm losing you.
Mentioning maybe like another one called Juhudi Kilimo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually asset-based loans. That when you look at what asset you can, they do asset-based loans and technical assistance. Asset means here they can provide you facilities, tractors. They can provide you machinery, fertilizer, things like that can help you boost your farming. Yeah.
So
and also technical assistance is very important. Yeah.
So. You mentioned something about the interest rates and the SACCOs, and there's a very interesting development that I saw. So we have a microfinance arm under KTDA by the name Greenland Feather that has actually reduced its loan rates from 21 to around 8%. And it has been effective from 1st December. And the way you were mentioning something about financial literacy programs, they are actually offering that to the farmers. So I think we are headed towards the right direction. It is not too bad of a direction right now.
Yeah, if I'm to just cut you short, the government of Kenya, the county government also seek finances outside, probably from World Bank and other institutions out there, to also finance agricultural activities, because we are seeing that the government is losing a lot of money due to agriculture, losses coming emanating from agriculture. So some of these incentives are coming because of the government trying to cushion the agriculture as an activity in Kenya. But so many times you've heard about the president talking about pumping money into the agricultural sector to cushion the farmer against some of these uncertainties that they come. So some of these cushions, you'll find them in reduced, some of these in reduced interest rates. Yeah. Yeah.
So, how does now a smallholder farmer? What does a smallholder farmer do if they're getting into agriculture and they really need financing and hana collateral, hana financial records because he has not been in agriculture in the past, he's just getting into it? How do they go about it? And maybe because you were talking about SACCOs, you can explain how SACCOs work and how the farmers can actually use them.
Okay, now I'm very. It's quite sad for that smallholder farmer here in Kenya who doesn't have collateral to seek finance or to get a loan from a bank. Yeah, because one of the important things is that it's your surety of paying your loan. Yeah, so. But there are institutions that allow, like the Uwezo Fund, if you can remember.
Oh yeah.
Uwezo Fund and the Youth Fund, I think one of the same thing. The Youth Fund. Now, in this situation, what they do is getting a few youth groups or women groups. Actually, they look at women and youth. They look at them. You get I think 3 or 4 or 5 individuals. You form up a small group. You register it under, I think, under Societies of Kenya, which is a procedure. Just get 2 or 3, 4, or 5 of you. Go to register, maybe as a register of societies. You register it maybe as a small committee group or maybe a small group. Okay. And after registering it, you take your details to the Uwezo Fund, and there are several other funds, because I'm also seeing in some banks have those micro lending, like I'm seeing KCB has Mavuno Miwa loan for small Miwa sugarcane farmers and whatnot. Yeah. So like what happens is that if you're a small scale farmer, you get a few other people with the same interest, because it's even going to be easier, because if the more you are, the bigger the bigger maybe your output, and from that output, that the same output can be your collateral. Yeah. So long as you even process. That's why Uwezo Fund was able to give a lot of funds to so many youths. The same thing also with I think Kenya Women Finance Trust also does the same. You form a few groups here and there, and then you approach them with. Just don't go like that. You need to have a proper documentation to show them that you have a shamba somewhere. Maybe they send someone to look at your farm. Then what are your plans? What are you going to cultivate? All the processes involved in your farming. And if you're lucky enough, some of them actually send extension services to you, send extension workers to even train. Yeah. Okay. And then another thing you were also talking about. So it's the second thing. Sorry, I might have forgotten.
No. I actually asked you about how they can actually access them, and that was just it. So we'd say from actually what you're saying, I'd say that the funds are there. The issue is, I feel like most youth and the women don't have information about where they're supposed to be getting the funds from, because the youth fund has been here for quite a while. The Uwezo Fund has been around for quite a while.
Yes, actually, the problem is, and I've also had problems with farmers myself, yeah, because of lack of knowledge. Farmers don't want to go outside the box, if I have to use that word.
Okay.
Because if you go to the county agricultural offices, there are so many institutions. I myself have worked for an NGO, dealing with youth and women and youth. And the best place where you can put your information is this county office outlet. Yeah. Just go. Most of these farmers can liaise with the county officials, especially in the county agricultural offices. All these county essential service workers, they have information. There are so many NGOs out there that have information, but a farmer doesn't expect an NGO maybe from UK to come directly to your farm. No, they will have a way of trying to reach the farmer through the county offices. Some people, I have seen this. There are some farmers who actually don't want to, who feel very to work with the county government. I don't know for what reasons, but it's very important that farmers work with the county government, because that is where the agriculture from the main government has been devolved down to the county levels. So that's where all the information is. I've worked with Muranga County Agricultural, the county government, the agricultural department in Muranga. They have very good system of working with farmers. They have very good extension services, and if the farmers can reach out to their county central services, they can be able to get a lot of information out there. So it doesn't mean that information is there. Even if somebody has a smartphone, if you have just do a research on how you can access some of these funds for farming.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
Yes, like let me give you a joke. Yesterday I was looking at the most Googled things in Kenya, according to Google. And most people were asking Google, how can I get rich?
People want to get rich in a day.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are one of the most searched things in 2020, and how can I get rich? So you also say, how do you expect to get rich, and all the information is at your fingertips. Yeah, so there's a lot of, that's why agriculture is just not agriculture. Agriculture is a lot of knowledge behind it. You need also to do a lot of research, and that's why most of the time I even tell some of my students that agriculture is a multi-dimensional or multi-sectoral activity, because you're dealing with business here, you're dealing with sciences, you're dealing with economics, you're dealing with geography, because all these culminate into agriculture. Because first of all, if you're doing your agriculture, you're a business person, you need to know how you'll get rid of your products. You also need to know, you also are a geologist, you also are meteorologist, because you need to know how the weather pattern is. So it's an all-round affair. So for you, that's why I keep telling people, if you're getting into agriculture, you need to have a lot of knowledge, you need to enrich yourself with knowledge. Just work on it. And then another thing I also wanted to discuss before I complete, is one thing I've realized, especially here in Kitengela and several parts of Kenya, where once a person, as we discussed about financing in agriculture, most people who have retired, and they've gotten their golden age, you know what they jump into? Agriculture. You've got your 10 million, handshake, 5 million, 10 million, whichever amount you've gotten. You go talk to one or two people, maybe one of your friends here and there. You're told, hey, Fulani was keeping chicken. You can also jump into pumping money into chicken, or do dairy farming, or do this. So you'll find, like here in Kitengela, like we have so many people who jumped into poultry keeping. You jump into poultry keeping with your golden handshake. We pump in a lot of money into that, millions of shillings. So we have like 4, 5, or maybe 20 people within the same environment who are doing poultry farming. Yes, you have the money, you have the finance. You've not done your background check. You've not done your market research and etc. So at the end of the day, everybody runs into doing poultry. At the end of the day, what do we have? We have a lot of eggs. We don't know where to sell. We don't know where to sell eggs because Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z is doing poultry.
Okay.
So that is another thing I wanted to discuss, because you might have the funds, but what is that practice that you want to go into?
So
it's not fair.
It is
It's not
important
fair
that as you get the finances, you are also sure of what you're getting into.
Yes, just not get into farming. Remember the quail business where everybody was going to get money, and then everybody got into quail. Because you're told, quail.
It is okay. Thank you so much, Robert, for shedding some light into the agricultural financing. You mentioned something about financial records that farmers are supposed to be keeping. So I want us to go on a break, and then I'll have you back on call, and then we talk about financial records that farmers need to keep and why they are important.
Thank you.
Hiya. Thank you so much. So that has been Robert Mwakio, and he has been shedding light into agricultural financing. What are the most viable ways that you can use to actually to get agricultural financing? And he is more of going into circles, forming groups as youths or as women, and you actually register them, because we have a lot of programs within the government. We have the Youth Fund program, we have the Uwezo Fund, we have a lot of programs around within the government. So all you need to do is actually find the information, make sure you have the right information, use the information that you have. You have the internet, you have your phones, you have everything that you need. So we are going to be looking at your feedback when we come back from the break, and we are going to be answering your questions. We'll try as much as possible with Robert Mwakio to answer your questions. If you have any more questions, you can keep sending them. You can actually tell us where you're watching the show from. And we are going to be looking into financial records. Are you a farmer? Do you keep financial records? What kind of financial records are you keeping? Why do you think it is important for you to be keeping the financial records? Keep sending me your feedback. On Facebook, we are at Afarmers Media. On YouTube, we are at Afarmers Media. And I'll be sampling that when we come back from the break. We'll be taking a short break. We'll be back.
Drip irrigation is a type of micro-irrigation system, or sometimes called trickle irrigation, that has potential to save water and nutrients by allowing water to drip slowly to the roots of plants, either from above the soil surface or buried below the surface from a system of small diameter plastic pipes fitted with outlets called emitters or drippers. The emitters slowly drip water into the soil at the root zone, therefore moisture levels are kept at optimum range, thus improving plant productivity. You can grow different crops using drip irrigation, be it tomatoes, spinach, skuma wiki, beetroots, celery, and many more crops will thrive using drip irrigation method. Drip irrigation is especially beneficial as it provides better plant health, less waste, reduced risk of diseases, money saving, weed control, and saves time. Drip irrigation is the most efficient water and nutrient delivery system for growing crops.
welcome back to the Afarmers Breakfast Show. I am your host, Lillian Thomas. We are live at Afarmers Media on Facebook and Afarmers Media on YouTube. Our topic today has been on agricultural financing, and we are talking about agricultural financing and financial records. Our social media handles on Facebook, it's at Afarmers Media. On YouTube, we are at Afarmers Media. Right here at Afarmers Media, we help farmers attain knowledge so that they can grow their profits. We connect, we learn, and we grow right here at Afarmers. So before we went on a break, we were talking to Mr. Robert Mwakio. Mr. Robert Mwakio has been shedding light into the kind of on how we can actually obtain agricultural finances, what is required of us in order to obtain agricultural finances, and he's done a good thing of shedding into that, especially in the Kenyan government. We know of the Wezo Fund, we know of the Youth Fund. We have a lot of things working for the government that we're supposed to be using. And one thing that we've realized, people don't have the knowledge. We need the knowledge. So I am going to sample your feedback that you've sent. Even as we continue back, we are going to be talking about financial records with Mr. Robert Mwakio. So let me just look at the feedback that you've sent. Bello Abdullahi says, very interesting and educative program. Thank you so much, Bello, for watching. That is Bello from Nigeria. Quite something. Bello Abdullahi again asks, please, can you explain basic documents, requirements needed from farmers before acquiring loan? You will be needed to show your financial records. If you've been a farmer and you've been doing farming activities, you need your financial records showing what you've been doing, the kind of transactions you've been doing in your business, because it's a business at the end of the day. They will need collateral, security, so most probably something concerning your property that will be needed from you. Thank you so much for that question. We also have Bello Abdullahi again asking, what is the minimum interest of bank loans? Now this varies. We can't really determine a fixed price. Every bank charges a different interest loan, depending on your location, depending on the banks that you have. But maybe it is important that you actually do some research on the financial institutions you have around you and the kind of rate they are offering, the loan rates they are offering. So Bello Abdullahi again says, we less in financial institutions because of government has a major role to play into the system. Yes, I think for me, work with the government. For us in Kenya, I think we have the county governments. The system is a little bit devolved, so we can actually access things in a more easier way within wherever we are, so from information to the finances and everything else. So in our discussion with Robert Mwakio noted that when you go to these financial institutions, they will actually ask for financial records. And what are financial records? As a farmer, any transaction you make from production, paying the people, marketing, things that you buy into the farming business that you're doing within a certain season. Maybe you're farming pineapples at a season, so anything you incur during the farming season up to marketing and the profit and loss, those are things that are supposed to be documented, and those are your financial records. So I am going to be calling again Robert Mwakio. Robert Mwakio is coming back on call, and he's going to shed light, because I don't know, most farmers, we don't keep financial records, and I don't know the reason why, but I want Robert Mwakio to tell us why it is important for you to be keeping the records, and why it is, again, especially. Hello, Mr. Robert.
Hello.
Yes, thank you for joining me again.
No problem.
Yes, so we are back to, because when we were talking in the first phase, we were talking about agricultural financing, and you mentioned how when you go to some financial institution, they will actually require you to be having financial records. So,
definitely.
Yeah, I want you to shed a little bit light into the kind of financial, because you've worked with farmers before. So maybe you can tell me, from the farmers you've worked with, According to your statistics, how many keep records? And for those who keep records, what are the benefits of them keeping the records? And for those who do not keep records, why don't they actually keep records? And as a farmer, maybe explain to us what kind of financial records are they supposed to be keeping during their activities?
Thank you again for having me. Like I said, the financial institutions will require you to have proper documentation of your farm. And when we talk about proper documentation, now we are talking about farm records, whatever is in your farm. Remember, as a farmer, this is supposed to be your full-time activity. You're not going to just sit back and expect plants to grow on their own, or your cows or your sheep or whichever animals to just continue doing things on their own without having records. So I'd need to explain to you what even farm records are and why they're very important.
Yeah, please do.
Before you even get that finance that you require from the financial institution. So definitely farm records are just documents that are used in keeping accounts of different activities, events, materials, assets, and anything that regards a farming operation or anything that is located within the farm. Any activity, any event, any material, everything has to be documented.
Okay.
If you're a poultry farmer, you need to know the number of chicken I have, the number of eggs I receive per day, number of mortality or number of what. You need to have every detail of your on record, yeah?
Okay.
So we do not have a complete format or a complete or a specific format for which we have our farm records. Now it depends with how you as an individual farmer will have to put your records. You can do it kienyeji, you write it maybe in a book that you don't feel like it will get lost, or just don't jot it down in a paper and then you just throw it away. You need to have documentation that can serve you in several years, you see?
Yeah.
Of which will take me to why it's important to have that. But I'll just briefly rush through types of farm records so that a farmer might know which kind of farm record is important for you to have. Yeah. The first one is the daily farm record. It is important as a farmer. Always document anything that happens in your farm daily. Yeah. For example, if you have, let's say you have your daily meal, we are looking at a poultry farmer.
All right.
Maybe you say in the morning you decided that if you're feeding your chicken early in the morning, maybe specific quantity, maybe there are about 200 birds. You said you've used about 10 kgs. You jot it down. In the morning at 10 a.m. gave chicken 10 kgs of feed. What time? That is the time you're feeding. The input, like a balance sheet, like a financial balance sheet, where in the morning you have that closing balance, opening balance. Yeah. You woke up with the feed remaining. You have 10 kgs of feed. Remaining feed will be probably, if you had like a 50 kg bag, you have 50 kg remaining. So those are the small records that it's like a daily inventory of what you're doing. Yeah. Showing you show maybe how many eggs you've received.
Okay.
If you have any bird which is not feeling well, you can jot it down. If anything that you feel like is important for your records, because remember, records are always references. Next time you'll go back to your reference and say, maybe on Thursday this bird that was having this didn't eat well.
Okay.
Yeah? So probably signs of a bird getting sick. So that's one of the importance of having daily records. Yeah. The second one is a record of farm inputs. Yeah.
Okay.
Farm inputs and equipment. So basically, you have farm input. You'll say you have the number of the holes you have, 20. The number of sickles still there, so that maybe somebody came, or if you have farmers who've gone to work in the farm, you need to have a checklist to know how many of these equipment are still in. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, most of the farmers, what they do, they'll give out, or you lend it out to a jiran, you don't note it down, and then at the end of the day, you'll start wondering, where did I take maybe my panga?
Okay.
See, such small things, while keeping record is very important to know how your equipment is. And remember that equipment is actually, it's your investment.
Okay.
So if you don't have proper records of how you put on a few things like your farm implements and equipment, including even the feed for that chicken farmer, feed, the medication and whatnot, yeah? Because there's some chicken that might be needing medication. You also need to have that in that record of farm implement, yeah?
Okay. What's other farm?
So, pardon?
What's other record?
Record of agricultural inputs. Agricultural input things like fertilizers, seeds, yeah. Maybe medication for the chicks or the chicken, whatnot, yeah. A record of livestock and livestock products, yeah. And here, when I talk about records of livestock and livestock products, you have the details of the livestock. Maybe you have, if you're a chicken farmer, you have like 10 chicken and probably 5 cocks. You have that in record. If the products, if you're having eggs, that's your eggs. Today you have 20 eggs. The following day you have 30 eggs. So you have to put that. The products have to be put. There's a way, like even in cows,
All right.
In cows, there's, I think Kilimo has a way in their website that gives you a production record, yeah, for milk production record, yeah.
Okay.
So that every day you have you note down. Maybe the person who's milking the cows will be jotting down maybe in production, but
okay,
like 50 liters tomorrow, 48. So you can know if your calf is going up or it's going down. Yeah. So records of animal feed is very important, especially for that chicken farmer. You need to know because, for example, chicken you start from you start from the beginners, and then you go to growers, and then probably finally maybe to the layers. Yeah. So you know maybe at this specific this period they're taking the beginners, and then the growers, etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most important is the production record. Because this is where the financial institution will be very important to look at. What is your production record? So
what does it entail?
Pardon?
What does the production record entail?
Yeah, production is used to document anything that is produced in the farm. Yeah. If you're a dairy farmer, looking at your milk. Yeah. If you're a chicken farmer, you're looking at the eggs. If you're a pig farmer, you look at the quantity of, maybe if you're selling your pig product to an institution like Farmers Choice, how many pigs are you selling? So you do that, your daily records, and then you sum it up at the end of the month. Yeah. Let's say, for example, a dairy farmer, you have like today you do 50 liters. Tomorrow you do 48. Next day you do 50, whatnot. Yeah. At the end of the month you do an average. Yeah. So on that average you might be able to know how many liters do I have per cow, or the total amount of production I have from milk production from all the cows. Now, if you do that kind of record, if you submit it to the institution that's providing funds, they can be able to gauge. Now, this is the amount of milk this person is getting, probably monthly. So if we give him finance for this period, he can be able to repay the loan within a certain duration of time.
So it's simply the outputs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can do them. You can do a monthly average, and probably can do an yearly average, or it can even go to 10 years average, depending on how long you're doing your production. So that when we come to your farm, we know you do average of even 100, even 70 liters of your cow on this specific period. Yeah. So the other records include records of farm use, where you record that on the land. I'm bit like land, how you use your land, or number of plots, acres used in planting, or acres where you put your chicken structure and whatnot, yeah, all the plants that you've planted. So just farm use, yeah, record of your farm use, yeah.
Okay.
And in this farm use, it's very important to have probably a diagram, you see, like this is where your farm is located, and in this farm, maybe it's a 20-acre land. So if it's a 20-acre land, I've used a quarter of the land, or I've used about 10 acres, or I've used about 5 or 4 acres of this land into production.
So
if I've used, if I've used a quarter of that land for production, and I'm out of this quarter of this land, I'm forecasting to be making this amount of money by sales. That will give an institution, a financial institution, a clear picture of how you're able to project, or how much you're able to earn if you use the full potential of the farm. Remember also the farm expenditure record, very important. Where farm expenditure, you just record all the expense, maybe like if you're paying salaries, or you're paying wages, or if you bought a few things, or if you've sent for maybe any expense, anything that will
any
cost,
expense occurred in the farm,
any expense that will, and then if you have workers, you can also have your workers record. You can separate it from your expense. You know the number of workers you have, and you put the number of staff, their salaries, payments. It's also known as the labor record. It's very important. Other things include vehicle record. If you have a vehicle, or if your vehicle is itself from the machinery, that one is for large-scale farmers.
Okay. Any other record?
And the most important is the sales record.
Sales record.
Sales record. Production or sales. Okay, sales records. That one is specifically for sales. This if you're selling eggs daily, how many eggs have I sold? Remember, it's totally different from production. Let's say cow production is I've milked, I've had 100 liters today for milking. But the sales is out of the 100 liters, how many liters have I sent to the market, and how many liters has been sold? You see how important this is. I can be doing 100 liters from the farm, but I'm selling less than 5 liters. You see, that's loss. I'm doing a loss. So if I do 100 liters and I'm able to sell 100 liters, even the financial institution will be seeing this is very important. You're actually making something out of your farm. So let me rush through why it's important to have these farm records that I've talked about.
Just rush through that, and then we end the discussion.
So these farm records, you help farmers keep stock and manage each aspect of the farm, which is important. Important for planning and budgeting. You know, if you're making losses or if you're making progress.
True.
They help farmers vision of each aspect of the farm. It's also important in proper farm management. You can know if this activity is bringing losses, you can cut it out. And then lastly, they can be very helpful when a farmer needs to access financial aid, because you'll just put it there on record that this is how my farm is doing. And once they have this record, they just do an inspection of your farm and you're granted the loan. So it's just that simple, having the financial records.
Okay, thank you so much, Robert Makio. Okay, is there something else you want to say?
That is all about the farm records, and this is one of the very most important thing a farmer has to have. I've realized most Kenyan farmers don't even have records. That's why you hear somebody saying, "I had nilikuwa na jembe, I had this kind of machinery, but I don't know what happened." Maybe you have a tractor, but you don't know how to service it because you don't know how to use it. So it's very important for any farmer, if you're very serious in farming, to have all these records straight.
So what is your parting shot pertaining to agricultural financing and keeping financial records?
I'll tell each and every farmer that the finance is there. Now it is it's only the seriousness from your side that will enable you to get the finance, because there are so many institutions out here that are able to give loans, they can give grants, they can even support you in any way to do your farming. Now the ball is actually on the court of the farmer. What is the knowledge you have? What is the output? What can you be able to do? Because remember, farming is a primary activity. And if you put your all in farming, you can be able to be a successful farmer. There are very many successful farmers who are actually practicing farming as a primary business. That is why you are seeing so many tycoons in the Rift Valley, because they have dedicated their lives into agriculture. But if you're thinking of doing agriculture as a secondary activity, forget even getting that financial, because you'll be going into a loss. The records are very important for you and for any financial institution to look at how you're doing, because from your record you can be able to know if you're planning to expand your farm activities, or you're planning to just stop it, because you can be able to just decide, I'm making losses, let me get into another agricultural activity, than continue doing one agricultural activity for years and years, yet you do not even have records knowing if you're making loss or profit. So that is my parting shot.
Okay, thank you so much, Robert Mwakio, for coming on call and shedding light on agricultural financing and financial records. We will talk to you some other time on another different topic. I hope next time you'll come to the studio.
I'm very near your place, so it won't be a problem.
Sawa. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So that has been Robert Mwakio, and he has given us the importance why we need to keep financial records and the kind of financial records you need to be keeping as a farmer. And we are just going to wrap up this show right here, because today we are talking about agricultural financing, and in our discussion we found out that for you to be able to get financing in some of these institutions, actually you need to keep financial records, which is very important. Before we wrap up, I'll just read one other comment that I have seen. Bello Abdullahi says, thanks for the organizers. Thank you so much, Bello, for watching the show. We are glad that you're watching. You can share with other people also to actually get educated. Yeah, your friends, your family, wherever you think you can share with. So as we are wrapping up, so this is our takeaway home as we are finishing this. So we have a lot of institutions actually offering finances. They are funding agricultural things. We have the government with certain projects like the Youth Fund, we have the Uwezo Fund, we have the Women Fund, and it is actually financing agricultural products. It's for you to be able to find the information. So work with your county governments, find the information, use the information that you have. The funds are there, the information is there. It's for you to find the information, for you to find the funds. And there's something that Robert has actually brought out. As you find the funds, as you get the funds, be sure of what you're using the funds in. Don't get into a business that you're not sure even of the market, so it ends up you're making a loss and it doesn't give you any rewards back. And something that he said, if you cannot be able to do something on your own as an individual, nowadays it is actually advisable. Can you come as a group? Come as a group of people, form a group, register it. It will be easier for you to get some of these funds, like the Uwezo Fund and the Youth Fund. As a group, it's easier to find something collectively. Farm records are very important, because when you're going to apply for a loan and you need finances and you need credit, they will ask for your farm records. If you have been a farmer in the past, you actually need the farm records. So they will need to see, how do you spend money? How have you been spending money? What are the kind of sales you have? Let us not do agriculture as a plan B thing, as a subsistence thing, in that tunaifanya kienyeji. You know kienyeji, the way it is done, the way our mothers used to do it. Anakaa kidogo anaangalia ile shamba pale, ana decide leo najisikia kuweka managu pale. Anaangalia tena kesho, ana decide najisikia kuweka sukuma pale. But nothing is ever accounted for, nothing is ever recorded. When you have your farm records, you've been told that they will help you access financial aid if you're looking for loans or for credits. You're able to keep stock of what you're doing. You're able to determine if you're making a profit or a loss. Because don't forget, it is agribusiness. We are not doing agriculture as a subsistence thing. We are doing it as a business. So you need to know if you're making a profit or a loss. Now that I did have people actually sending me in feedback back about their value addition, the value addition projects. I think I'll take it to another section later on. I'll be talking about value addition later on. But as for now, we are going to wrap up the show today. We've been talking about agricultural financing and financial records. Remember, you need to keep your farm records. Very, very important. We are going to wrap up the show, but we have Mr. Noah Natali Kadima coming in for the mid-morning show. You don't want to miss the discussion that he'll be having with another guest on call. He'll be talking to Mr. Thomas Opondo, and he'll be talking about conservation agriculture. Because we've been talking about soil health in the past, we are still continuing with this discussion this week, and he'll be coming in. I'll be joining you again tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. 7:30 a.m. and we'll be having another interesting topic and a guest in studio or on call, so you don't want to miss that. Until tomorrow, it is a goodbye from me.